What is going on YouTube? Jason Dragonbane here. And as promised, I'm going to start trying to upload some of the Transmodify 3.5 Axis Fire Fist duels for you guys so you can see a little bit on how the deck runs. Two of the duels I have today aren't super great duels, but they do show off some of the combos that the deck can pull out. And then the other two duels are quite a bit better. They show a little bit better of a match going on. So that being said, the first one up is Transmodify versus No Clue. I had no idea what I was fighting at the time. I never really got to see anything. So I opened up pretty good. I had Tanky and Spirit in hand, so this equals a perfect 3.5 axis first turn setup. So just search Leopard, Leopard's effect now, set Tensu. Unless he had an effect Veiler, the 3.5 axis version was just going to do what it does. So made a Horse Prince, went into Rooster. Rooster grabbed Dragon, sent Tanky away for Tensin. Then I set Fiendish and Misty and passed. So he sets a Dupe Frog and the Mirror Force, and I Misty the Mirror Force. So I was like, okay, let's just summon Dragon. We're going to use Rooster's effect to switch out Tanky. Tanky would have grabbed me Bear, and I would have popped that, and Dragon would have set one of the back formations, but he ended up scooping right there. I can't say I blame him. This turned out to be Wetland Frogs. His hand with 3 prior of the Ice Barriers and 2 Dupe Frogs, and his next card being Terraforming. I don't think he could have done anything against a perfect setup for 3.5 Fire Fist. So we'll go right on to the game 2. Alright guys, we're back, and this was Transmodify 3.5 versus a Light Storm Chaos sort of deck. It pulled out some decent moves, and I pulled out some decent moves. So here's what I call the going into just setting up 3.5. Isaiah will search Leopard, but it's like I wasn't going to be able to get a 3.5 axis Fire Fist move off. So I was like, okay, we're just going to summon Bear, set some back row, and play the 4-axis game until I can get ready to go. So he ends up Misty and Mirror Force. I was like, that's okay as long as he doesn't have Honest. Turns out he didn't have Honest, so I set Gyoko knowing Leopard can get me Tanky anytime I want, just in case he decided to set back row. He didn't decide to do that, so I was like, okay, Leopard, play the Tanky, grab the Spirit, play Tensu, summon Spirit, go into the 3.5 play. He grabs Dragon so that if Bear goes anywhere or Rooster gets back in the grave, I can easily just go off from there. So I get rid of Tanky and set Tenkin. He actually pulls off a really cool little move here, and I totally forgot about what I should have done. So he summons Wolf and summons Lila, hits my Tenkin, and I target Bear thinking, okay, Bear is going to be the one I want to protect the most. But I forgot these are both level 4 monsters. I really should have seen the 101 coming, but I was like, yeah, I should have saw that coming. But Bear is still a tie for him, and now he just killed Rooster. So I drew in a Gorilla. Right here, I really could have just summoned Gorilla and summoned Dragon, gone into Cardinal, bounced him away, and then hit for game easily, but I decided not to waste my Cardinal resources just in case he had something else to try and stop me. Turns out he didn't, so it was a quick little game, but it did show off a few little good combos and how to set the deck up properly, and we'll go on to one of the next games. Alright guys, and we're back for the third game of this duel, and happened to be against a Death Frog Sea Lancer Frog deck. My opening hand actually wasn't very good, so I went, okay, Duality, and I saw Misty, Leopard, and Bear, so I was like, okay, we're going to grab Bear, Tanky, summon Leopard, play the Tensu. Now I can summon Bear and still have a monster on board and have him pretty well protected with 2 backfield. So he just ends up setting 2 cards. I was like, okay, I drew into my second Transmodify, so I was like, this isn't really what I want, but we're going to try and get rid of this monster. He's like, okay. He finished chain, or he breakthrough skill Bear, so I was like, alright, you know, we're just going to summon Swallow out of the deck. He's 2100 now. He can become a 3100, and this protects him during main phase 1, so I don't have to really worry about any of the Monarchs, because that's what I was thinking I was doing. So he goes through the usual frog shenanigans, ducks rotas to the grave, then makes Gotcha Gotcha, and I was like, okay, I really don't have to worry about any of this. So I draw into Leopard. I was like, oh, this is actually really good. So we send Leopard for Tenky. His hand kept stalling, so it's like I was pretty sure he had a max C, but I was like, you know what? At this point, I don't even think I really have to worry about max C, so I just decided to go completely off. So I did all three monsters, got rid of the Gachi Gachi, and I was like, okay, switch the Tensen out for another Tensen. You still can't target my monsters, and you have to get something now to at least stall out for another time. So he sends Tadpole, which I thought was really weird, and that's what led me to believe that this was actually Death Frogs. So he just goes in and makes another Gacha Gacha. I was like, this is perfectly okay with me because I have plenty of stuff still to work with. So Gyoko the backfield summoned Bear. It turned out to be another breakthrough skill, which couldn't have affected me anyways because of Swallow, but I didn't want it to be like a Mirror Force or anything, just a random Mirror Force and run into it and then lose complete advantage. So I was like, no, we're going to use our one Gyoko in the deck, completely freeze that thing off. And then once Bear hit Gachi, he decided to quit right there, but I still had plenty of plays after that point now, so Bear would have taken a material off of Gachi. Two Horse Prince and Swallow could have then easily killed over him, Bear could have swung for damage, and Rooster could have swung for damage. And then at the end, I could have easily transmodified him into another level 4 monster, played one of these two on damage to get more damage, and a Magic Planter to get more draws, so I still had plenty of options. And we'll go on to the last game of this duel. Alright guys, and we're back for the last duel of this video, and this one happened to be against like a Lightsworn Beazle sort of deck. My opening hand was actually not very good this time around, but I won't say it was bad, it's just I didn't actually open up with very many combos. I was like, okay, we're just going to go Leopard to put Tensu down and we'll summon one of the dragons. And then we'll just hit for damage and see what we get. And it happened to be Raiko, so I was like, okay, well, set Gyoko as a bluff. So he ended up going Lila to pop the backfield. I was like, that's fine. Lightsworms really don't play that much traps anyway. So I was like, okay, we're going to summon Dragon, now summon Rooster. Rooster's effect, switch for Tenki. Tenki grabs Spirit. We're going to now set Tenkin off of Dragon's effect. Play Gyoko. See Fiendish Chain, Tensen, and Transmodify. So we grab the Fiendish Chain. We kill his monster. Swing for a little bit of damage, and then set Fiendish Chain. So he goes charge the Light Brigade. Grabs the Lumina. He was going to go for Lila, and I was like, I really can't afford to let him have Lila. Even though I saw the Beazle play coming, I really just couldn't afford him to have that. So I went Tengen on the Rooster to get Dragon's effect to set Tensen. Even though I couldn't play it that turn, it was just setting up for next turn. So right here I draw into Tenki, so I was like, okay, we're going Magic Planter that. Rooster now switch Tenki out for Tensu. Sacrifice the Rooster for Swallow, so now Rooster's in the grave, where I like him to be for the Spirit, but I was like, none of the 3 stuff is going to get me over Beazle, so I went into Wolfmark into Tiger King instead, so I could easily get rid of the Beazle. He had the Honest for Swallow, but I only took 1,000 damage off of it, so I was perfectly okay with that. So he sets Raiko and then puts Lumina in defense. I was like, okay, now I can easily go off from here, so we'll go Spirit, summon Rooster, Rooster grab Bear, switch the Tensen out for another Tensen, Synchro into Horse Prince, make Raven, summon Bear, pop the Raiko, which it was a very televised Raiko. So I have him now down to 1,100 life points, and he now has officially 4 or more Lightsworns in the grave, so he summons JD, and I'm going, oh, this is kind of bad for me, because he's going to wipe my field, but I still had a Tenki, and I still had Leopard on field, so I was like, okay, I'm not too bad as long as he doesn't straight OTK me now. But the bad part was, for him, is he went for the JD pop, only had enough for 100, I was like, okay, chain both of these onto my Horse Prince, so he'll stay, and the thing about this deck is I completely forget Raven sometimes. It's like, I summoned Raven, completely forgot he was there, so these 3 backfield are now completely safe from JD destruction. So Horse Prince is now still stronger than Judgment Dragon. I get a free Tenki, and he's now down to 100 life points. So he just summons the second JD, mills 4, manages to mill Wolf, mills an Eclipse Wyvern to get Light Ray Diablos, and I draw another Transmodify. So it's like, at this point I could have easily attacked over Wolf for game. I know he doesn't have the Honest because he's already used it. But I decided to add a little insult to injury by using Bear to get rid of one of his JDs and then letting it hit for damage. So that's been the duels for this one, guys. I'm having a lot of fun playing this deck. I'm finding Transmodify to be really helpful. Raven actually put in a lot of work for me in that Lightstorm matchup because it's like I would have completely lost that match if it wasn't for Raven being on board. So tell me what you guys think, and as always, like, comment, and subscribe.